Can you tell us anything whatsoever?
I know you just give us. One more stage.
How you doing, legends? I am the Reverend Raph. This is my co-host Kyle. We are joined by Paul from death metal band Automation, who have just kind of started their comeback within the last 12 months after being on extended hiatus for, near on 25 years. And we are here today for the quick question quarters, but with Q's, not K's, because we don't roll like that. Basically, the purpose here is to get to know Paul a little better with a bunch of rapid-fire questions about his musical origins and his musical mind. So without further ado, let's dive into that with the very first question. What was the first instrument that you learned to play? And yes, vocals counts.
First instrument
recorder doesn't
that I
count.
learned how to play properly was the drums, actually.
Wow.
Yeah,
And you called your son a turncoat, mate. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'd
You've
actually
forsaken
say,
your heritage.
Yeah, in all honesty, I'd say I'm probably more of a natural percussionist. I definitely, guitar sort of struck me in high school, and I went home one day and playing on my brother's sort of acoustic guitar, I could play in a Sandman, and he was blown away, and I sort of got excited, I can play Metallica, and that was it, man. Like, it just never stopped from there.
And the big brother never picked up the guitar again.
Yeah, no.
It always happens, man. When the little brother shows you up, you're just like, fuck this one, we'll do it no more. I have a little brother, so I know.
And it's always what I love is, like, so for me, Metallica has always been like the band, right? Like, for me, it was through most of my life. It was my favorite band. Now, we'll see. But there's a legacy there, I think. And
yes, for sure.
So many people that play metal now, Metallica was the reason that they picked up the guitar.
Well, yeah, that's how I learned how to play guitar. So a bloke that I knew, he sort of taught me for about 3 months. And sort of started from school. This guy taught me some chords, but basically he just told him some songs, and he learned the songs like Ugly Kid Joe, I Hate Everything About You, and was it like Guns N' Roses, Knocking on Heaven's Door, that sort of stuff. And it got to Enter Sandman, and I said, mate, I want to play the solo. And he said, mate, I can't. He said, I can't do that. He goes, you're going to have to get someone else to show you how to do that. And my mate had the tablature book for the Black Album, and he lent it to me, and and I learned how to play in the Sandman, learned how to play like the Nothing Else Matters, and those sort of solos, and then pretty much I bought Ride the Lightning book. I bought Master of Puppets book.
Oh,
Brawl,
nice.
And mate, great way to learn how to play the guitar, mate. Just learn how to play Metallica songs.
but the thing is, those tabs, like, what people don't understand, man, before we had like shitty, what is it, tabs.com, where random people throw on what they thought were the tabs. Bro, those books were $30-$40 back then.
Yeah, $40.
Like,
Yeah.
They weren't.
And the
like,
thing is,
they $100 now. They'd be about $100
while they were the
now.
official tab books, there was nothing official about them. Like, they were licensed, but it wasn't like the band had said, yes, this is how to play the song. It's like someone had sat down, given it their best shot at figuring it out, and transcribed that. And I had the Justice for All tab book. I had that. I think I might still have it somewhere, right? And like, there's mistakes everywhere in that.
Yep.
Like, there's shit wrong all through that. Yeah.
But you don't know when you're learning how to play guitar. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right. What was the first album that you ever purchased with your own money?
First album I purchased. Oh God, I can't even remember. I'd say it would be a Metallica one. I'd say maybe Master of Puppets. I was a big fan of Master of Puppets.
Oh, that is, as far as I'm concerned, that's the best fucking album.
Look, I'm the kind of person that generally, like, I often like most of an album. There's a lot of the times there's like one or two songs that I'm just kind of don't really care for. Yep. But Master of Puppets is, to me, a perfect album. Like, I like every single song. I don't think there's one weak song on that whole album. Yeah. It's just killer through and through.
Lean. It's like Paul.
Yeah.
I think they went from thrash. I think they really matured there in Master of Puppets. You know,
It almost moved towards in a little bit of prog vibes in some ways. Like it got more complex musically. You could see Cliff was really, Cliff was sort of pushing them into this territory of, like the fact that Orion is essentially a string quartet piece that he wrote everything for. Like the stuff that they were coming up with was like crazy at that point. And I often, I'll often lay awake at night and wonder, but seriously though, like I wonder what musically they would have been like if they hadn't lost Cliff, if he'd still been around, and how that would have changed the trajectory of the band, across their career. But there you go.
The same as if Dave Mustaine had stayed around. It's talk about it all day long.
Yeah. The funny thing is, we've discussed this on the podcast a couple of times now, and I think like Metallica is the biggest. My view is Metallica is the biggest of the big four because they switched up their genres.
Yep.
Like the reason that Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax didn't come out as the biggest is because they stayed doing thrash.
Yep.
Whereas Metallica switched it up, and that's the reason that they've had more financial success, I think, than the other bands.
This exact discussion with someone last night.
Yeah.
What was your first live concert that you attended?
Not the Wiggles.
No, definitely not the Wiggles. What's he think it might have been a Bryan Adams concert?
Hey.
Hey.
There you go.
Well, I was a big fan of Bryan Adams. I'm pretty sure he came out to the entertainment centre and my brother took me.
Entertainment Centre. Sydney Entertainment Centre. What a venue. Yeah. Such a shame. Such a shame.
Great venue, man. Saw Korn, saw Metallica. Saw Korn, saw Disturbed, saw fucking Offspring. My very first rock concert there.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the only metal show I went to there was when Down played with the Heaven and Hell lineup of Black Sabbath. So when Dio and Tony and Geezer got together and they wanted to do a reunion, but they couldn't use the name Black Sabbath because like Ozzy and Sharon owned it by that point. So they toured as Heaven and Hell, which is just like incredible. Like that's just nuts to me. I was like, I cannot believe I get to see this. And I was at the barrier. I was there like for that show, which was wild. What's an instrument you've always wanted to learn but haven't yet?
An instrument I've wanted to learn. I think I always wanted to be able to play the piano. But I just, I think I just got so, like when I sort of really got into playing guitar and I was really enjoying it, like when I was learning how to play Metallica songs and like I used to play like 3-4 hours a day. It was just what I did with my spare time. I just played guitar and I just didn't want to do anything else. But I would have liked to have been able to play the piano.
It's a good one. It is. There's so much to be gained from it. And it's never too late. Never too late.
You're right, true.
even if you can just find somewhere for like a 66 key keyboard or something and start plinking away on it, it's there's a lot to be gained.
I've got my kids' one that's even got lessons on it. Do I do it?
Yeah. Well, they're the kind of, they're all the opportunities I want my son to have, so
hey, and more power to you, man. Like all these things that we didn't have musically.
Yeah, well, you just gotta, I think as a parent you gotta like give them a go. If you spend money and they don't sort of use it, like he's got a little miniature Jackson guitar there you can see up in the corner. It's definitely a bit hard for him just yet. It's probably not the right time for him, but it cost me $200.
They're ready. They're ready.
If he doesn't play it, he doesn't play it. But if he does, he's got to have the chance. I never had anything like that when I was his age. So
yeah, I mean, look, I got really fortunate that my parents were very supportive of that, and like my musical interests, they sort of encouraged and we're like to a point, I guess, but yeah, they were very encouraging with that, except when I wasn't playing with headphones on.
Well, pretty much, I used to run home from school. My mum would let me play my guitar. Then I knew my dad was home because he'd just knock on my door. He didn't even come and say hello. He'd just knock on the door, and that was it. So that meant turn the amp off and just play my electric guitar at zero because I didn't have headphones back then. And I'll get another knock on the door for dinner, and then go and have dinner, and then go back in my bedroom and play guitar. Like, that's for a period there for a good few years. That's all I was interested in doing.
And that heavy effect, man. And look, that just goes to show, like, you can have that much of a gap and still come back and do what you do.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it all kind of like anything, you know, you're an athlete. So muscle memory plays a massive part, you know, even when it comes down to musical stuff as well, when you're playing an instrument. So muscle memory has a big impact. So having that discipline in your athletics and in your being an athlete as well would transfer over.
It just all comes down to the commitment and determination, you know. Like, there's nothing easy about what's happened in the last few years, but, you know, it's just desire and commitment and determination, and, you know, sort of we've probably been back at it for 2 years now, and definitely much better guitarist than what I was, you know, 20 odd years ago. So
there you go. All right, if you could pick one big band or artist for Automation to open a show for, so this is like basically no rules on this, living or dead, active or not, whatever part of their career that you could pick. If you could pick one big band or artist for Automation to open a show for, who would it be?
Oh, for me, 100%, it'd be Carcass. You know, I'd say Heartwork for me is my favourite album of all time. Even though, like, probably, you know, there's definitely a lot of influence in that. Probably more now it's sort of moving sort of in a different direction. But, yeah, I love that music. I've always loved that band, you know, Necroticism and probably all their older stuff, if they sort of, you know, had that same sort of Heartwork sound about it, would be, you know, just incredible, you know.
You know, I feel like Carcass, especially that Heartwork album, it's your favorite musician's favorite album. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a very musician's album in a lot of ways.
Well, I think that album turned death metal into music. You know what I mean? Proper music. And that's what I like. That's how, you know, with our music, I like it to be fast. I like it to be brutal, but I like it to be musical. You know, it needs to be clear and defined, and it's got to have a sound that everybody understands. Once you start playing stuff that no one understands, you kind of lose, you know, you kind of lose attention, you know. So there's nothing about that Heartwork album where you just sort of go, oh, you know, you can't understand it, or it's, you know, it's fast, it's heavy, there is some slower stuff on it, but it all sounds great. You know, the solos are brilliant, and you know, it's you know. Yeah, that's definitely my favourite. If I could open for Carcass, that'd be a dream come true.
Oh, yeah. All right. Are there any, who is a band or artist that you're listening to at the moment that you think is underrated and deserves more attention? Or is there anyone that you're listening to at the moment that you feel?
Or any bands that you've seen?
Yeah, I'm not like, yeah, I guess I'm probably not overly diverse in that, you know. I'd love to have Brad Dixon here with me to answer that one for you. Yeah, I guess I'm probably a little bit ignorant that way. I kind of like, you know, focus a lot more on just what I'm doing at the moment. I don't really, you know, like I said, I don't have a lot of time to sort of.
Okay, let me tweak this one for you then. As sort of Kyle mentioned, like obviously you've been out at doing these shows and sort of, I guess, encountering some new bands and stuff that you know maybe you haven't really been around. Is there any of them that you feel have particularly impressed you?
Look, I'd have to, like, in all honesty, I'd have to even go back and like check on some names.
Right, I'm fucking with that.
But like I know, like one thing I've always loved seeing playing live is just like I never really, like, when we were playing, like, it was us and Dead Spawn, which were death metal in Sydney, but most of the death metal bands were in Melbourne or elsewhere. I would just love, like, hearing blast beats and just, full, raw, brutal music. And Slaughter Cult played before us at the Raymond Down in January.
They're very fucking good.
I was sort of warming up, so I didn't get to watch them properly, but just sort of practicing on my guitar, and I just sort of, my ears pricked up, and you could just hear the snare just ripping away like a blast beat. And I had to stand up and watch them for a bit, because they were just and I remember that I was impressed straight away because the guy had a Suffocation shirt on, and they did, they had like a Suffocation sound about them, which is, they're probably my second favourite band of all time. So I'm definitely
very good.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to play with those guys again. Man.
Hell yeah. What is something people may be surprised to learn about you?
Surprised to learn about me? Well, I suppose like my career, like I start a new job as a site manager for a construction company tomorrow. And I've worked last few years I've worked as a senior supervisor for CPB on the Pitt Street Metro Station, $1.1 billion job there. I've been doing, I was a construction manager for a formwork company for 7 years, doing high-rise projects all over Sydney and Adelaide. Career-wise, I'm doing pretty well.
I think that's only fair. You build the buildings and then you scream them down.
Well, that's the biggest surprise from the people that I work with is that I listen to death metal. So it's
that's a funny thing, eh? It's like I hate the assumption. If you say, what does a typical person listen to death metal? It's like they're covered in piercings, covered in tattoos, only wear black. And it's like, no, even when I used to be going to Club Blink back in the King's Cross days, there was probably like a good 20% of suits in that venue. People just knocking off work, coming down to get their fix of metal for the weekend.
Yeah. All right. And last one in the quick question quarter today. You can interpret this question however you like. What is your worst music sin?
My worst music sin? Oh, what you mean in terms of what I listen to?
No, it could be related to the band stuff. If you
whatever you like, whatever you like. If you think that it's what you listen to, then what you listen to. If you think it's that you don't practice enough, then sure. If it's because you do whatever, whatever you feel.
Definitely not that. It's definitely not that I don't practice enough. Look, I don't know if it's a sin, but like I'm probably like a massive fan of like Christina Aguilera. Always, obviously because she's like so beautiful, but phenomenal like singing voice. Like the way that she sings, like to me, is kind of like death metal in music. It's just it's pushing it to the extreme. It's just. Super talent, and I love listening to it. And it's not just her; it's like, like Beyonce. I love listening to Beyonce. Like even I think Taylor Swift writes good music. Good music to me is just good music. It doesn't have to be metal. It just when I write music, when I play, I'm very passionate about it. I want to play death metal music, but I don't know if it's a sin, but I probably listen to Today FM more than I listen to metal.
Mate, I can't wait till Automation do a thrash cover of Shake It Off. And just change it to Mosh It Off. Change it to Mosh It Off.
We've had discussions about.
Well, would it be Mosh It Off or would it be Shake It Mosh?
Oh,
for the rhyme. Like I'm trying to work that one out.
The possibilities are endless.
Hey, that's it. And I mean, the thing is now, since all those stigmas are really being broken about what you can, like we muck around and say it's a musical sin, but really it's not a fucking sin what you enjoy. It's not like to to the elitist and those gatekeepers that say all I do is all you can and all I do is listen to this. Yes, it may go down like that, and fuck every one of you all. You're wrong. Go listen to some different music. Go outside and touch some fucking grass.
Yep.
But yeah, like music's meant to be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, one of the things my music teacher told us, which really inspired me, and my mate Ronnie, he showed our musical teacher if you remember the Pierce from Within album from Suffocation.
Vaguely, a little bit.
And I'd say it's one of probably the most technical death metal albums you'll ever hear in your lifetime. And he showed it to our music teacher, and she said to him, she said, "That is brilliant." And he's like, "Really? Like, it's, you like death metal?" And she said, an orchestra is like the epitome of music. It captures like feeling and emotions, and he goes, and that's why they use orchestras in the music, in movies, because they play tones, they make it scary, they make it happy. An orchestra can create a feeling, and it's a large-scale group of musicians coming together to do that. But there's a lot of stop and start, there's a lot of slow, there's a lot of fast, there's so much variation in it. And she said that band is practically an orchestra in a death metal album. And we kind of went like, wow, and like it's so true, and probably an orchestra is probably one of the best places you can find inspiration to write death metal music if you really listen to it closely.
Definitely. Well, that's all for the quick question quarter today. Thank you very much, Paul. We will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out, everybody.